Here's hoping that there's not a lot of noise background because I live near a, can you hear it? I don't know if you'll be able to, but there's a lot of mechanical noise happening outside my apartment every single day. Well, hey there, reader friends. I'm Erica. Welcome back to my channel. And I today am going to share my TBR for Sobathon Round 2. If you don't know, Sobathon is a readathon that is hosted by a bunch of amazing ladies who I follow on BookTube and who some of them I consider kind of BookTube friends. The hosts for Sobathon Round 2 are Michaela at Michaela Reading, Sam at Samantha Reading, and a whole bunch of other ladies. Let me look. Rocky at Blonde with a Book, Becca at Becca and the Books, Krisy at the September issue, and Katie. And she's going to be doing it predominantly on Instagram and Twitter this round, and her Instagram is Fairytale Protagonist. Love that Instagram name. Love that Instagram name. Sobathon Round 2 is going to start on Monday, so it's going to go from September 8th to September 14th. And there are 7 challenges. No, only 5 challenges. So we're going to go over those right now. The first challenge is to read a book with blue on the cover. Yes, 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 I love blue. We all know I love blue. The second challenge is to read a book that makes you feel nostalgic. The third challenge is to read a book you've been putting off because it's going to make you too emotional. I do that a lot. I love reading emotional books that make me feel cathartic and all the things, but I also tend to put them off because real life, honestly, can be pretty overwhelming, and sometimes I just put them off. I just put them off. But not now. Not now. Sobathon is not the time to put them off. Challenge number 4 is to read a book with a character that shares a major identity as you, which I think is a really intriguing premise for a book challenge. I haven't seen this challenge before, and I really like it. I like how, we have a lot of challenges about read diversely, read books that have characters that are different than you, but I think this is kind of nice for a change of pace. So kudos to the host, because I have not seen a challenge like this before. And challenge number 5 is to read the group book, which is Girls on the Verge by Sharon Biggs Waller, which I checked out when it came out. I was put on the list for it. More mechanical noise. And I didn't get to it before it was due. That's the story of my life. That's the story of my life. Plus, I reread the summary at one point. I was going to read it. I reread the summary, and I was like, this sounds a little intense for me right now. So I put it down, and then it was due, and I didn't get to it. So what books am I going to read? I have 4 books on my TBR. None of them are huge honkers, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to get through all of them. I don't feel like this is the most ambitious TBR I've ever done for a readathon. I think it's a mid-level ambitious level because there are 4 books, but most of them are pretty short except for one of them. So the first book I have on my TBR is The Good Divide by Callie Van Baal. Van Baal? I think that's how she says her name. I should know this because she's a local author, but I don't. This challenge is going to, of course, meet the challenge of read a book with blue on the cover because it is blue all over this book. And this book will also meet the challenge of reading a book with a character that reflects a major identity as you, the same major identity as you, an identity. Not only because the main character is a woman and I identify as a cis woman, but also because this book takes place in a rural setting on a farm. While I am not a farm girl, I didn't grow up on a farm. Farming is in my family's heritage, and I still feel real strong ties to agriculture and the current blight that farmers face. I do have farmers in my family, and so that sort of agricultural Midwestern identity that's present for the main character in this book, who is a farmer's wife, is definitely a part of my own personal heritage that while I do not necessarily identify with directly because I am not a farmer or a farmer's wife, I do identify with because farming is a major part of my family's heritage and still to this day a major part of our identity. So why is this book on Sobathon? Because it takes place in, I think it's, let me double check, yeah, in the 1960s, which is not necessarily the most stable time for farmers, but it deals with the close family relationships of a farming family and when there's a secret. A secret that I get the impression is a pretty big one. And I just get the tone from the summary of this book that it's going to be kind of emotionally intense because, well, when your family's kept a secret for 10 years and then someone in your family marries someone who is not from a farming family and then that secret is revealed, it's probably not going to be the most happy-go-lucky of times for you. The next book I'm planning to read for Sobathon Round 2, I am so excited for because it is one of my favorite books of all time, and that is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. This is going to fulfill the read a book that makes you nostalgic challenge because, holy heck, am I going to be so nostalgic when I read this book. This book is one of my favorite books from childhood. It's also one of the books that I just really identify with, and every time I see any sort of film adaptation, I just get all the warm and fuzzy feelings, and I just feel all the emotions, and I haven't reread this in quite a while, so I have a feeling that I am going to get kind of emotional at certain parts in the books, particularly when Joe and Amy are fighting. I just get really emotional anytime when Amy has her catastrophe and Joe has to, I just get so emotional. The other reason I'm super excited to read this book is because, I don't know if you know, but there is a new adaptation coming out with Saoirse Ronan, directed by Greta Gerwig, and I am so pumped for that new film adaptation that's coming out in December. I am so ready, so I thought I should reread the book. Because why not? Why not? And Sobathon is the perfect time to, because it's going to make me super, super nostalgic and emotional in all the good ways. The next book I have on my TBR is Girl Made of Stars by Ashley Heron Blake, which has been on TBRs for several readathons that I've done, and I haven't got to it because I'm nervous, because it's going to be real emotional, and I don't know if I'm pretty sure it's going to wreck me in a lot of ways because it deals with some pretty heavy topics. So, I'm excited, also scared. In case you couldn't tell, this is going to meet the challenge of read a book that, like, you have put off because it's going to make you too emotional. I just have a feeling that I'm going to get really emotional with this book. Because it deals with friendship, but also what you do when your friend is telling you the truth about a family member, and like that truth is really awful, and how do you rectify those feelings of conflict? Just thinking about it makes me emotional. I'm gonna need lots of chocolate probably for this book. And the final book I have on my TBR is the group book, Girls on the Verge by Sharon Biggs Waller. I would not have picked that font with this. I would not have picked, actually, this font with that graphic in the background. The readability of that is low. But, you know, I don't get to pick the cover designs. They don't ask librarians about that, so whatever. I don't know much about this book other than it's pretty short, which I am excited about, and that it deals with two girls who are friends, I believe, that have to travel out of their home state so that one of them can get an abortion. So not light topics in this book for sure. I'm really curious about how they're going to discuss such a complex and emotionally fraught topic in such a short book. I always find it really impressive when authors can do that. I also think sometimes that just makes me feel like maybe it's really well written and really good. Again, heavy hitting. I mean, between this and Girl of Stars, I'm pretty sure I need Little Women in there. So thank you for that nostalgic challenge, hosts. Thank you, because that's going to be important in the midst of all this heavy times. So those are the 4 books I am going to read for Sobathon Round 2. Please let me know if you're participating as well. Feel free to leave any comments you have, also any trigger warnings you may think of. If you've read these books, obviously I've read Little Women, so I know I'm good there. But the trigger content warning that I particularly need is if there's people on the LGBTQ spectrum that are being treated with intolerance by a religious body of any sort. I can read that. I just need warning because it has direct implications for my life. And so if you've read these books, please let me know if those topics are in these books so that I can prepare myself. Or feel free to just be like, oh, I read that book. It's not in there at all. I really, really appreciate that. And I will see you guys next time.